Throughout history, science has presented itself as objective, rational, self-correcting, and in many ways, it is. But scientists are human, institutions are human, funding is political, reputations are fragile, and sometimes discoveries are not suppressed because they are false, but because they are inconvenient, too disruptive, too dangerous, too embarrassing, too threatening to established belief. These are not conspiracy fantasies. These are real cases where scientific findings were ignored, delayed, buried, ridiculed, or resisted, not because they lacked evidence, but because accepting them required uncomfortable change. This is oddly true. Ignaz Semmelweis and handwashing. In the 1840s, hospitals were killing mothers. Women died of childbed fever after giving birth. Ignaz Semmelweis noticed something strange. Doctors who performed autopsies and then delivered babies had far higher mortality rates in their patients. He proposed something radical. Doctors should wash their hands, specifically with chlorinated lime solution. When they did, mortality rates dropped dramatically. The evidence was clear, but his colleagues rejected it. Why? Because accepting it meant admitting they had been killing patients. The medical establishment resisted. Semmelweis was mocked, marginalized, eventually institutionalized. Years later, germ theory validated him. But during his lifetime, his discovery was rejected. Not because it was wrong, but because it was humiliating. The discovery that smoking causes cancer. In the mid-20th century, researchers began accumulating strong evidence linking tobacco to lung cancer. Internal documents later revealed that tobacco companies funded research designed to cast doubt on the findings. Public messaging emphasized uncertainty. Scientific consensus was delayed in public perception. The data was strong, but powerful economic interests resisted. The delay cost millions of lives. The science was there. The acceptance was not. Continental drift. In 1912, Alfred Wegener proposed that continents were once joined together. He called it continental drift. The idea was ridiculed. Geologists dismissed him. They claimed there was no mechanism to explain movement. Wegener died before his theory was accepted. Decades later, plate tectonics confirmed his hypothesis. The resistance was not malicious, but it was institutional inertia. Paradigm shifts are rarely welcomed. Helicobacter pylori and ulcers. For decades, stomach ulcers were blamed on stress, spicy food, lifestyle. Two researchers proposed something radical. Ulcers were caused by bacteria. Helicobacter pylori. They were dismissed. The stomach was considered too acidic for bacteria to survive. One of the researchers, Barry Marshall, drank the bacteria himself. He developed gastritis. He proved the theory. They later won a Nobel Prize. But initially, the discovery was resisted because it contradicted established belief. Climate change warnings. Scientists began warning about rising carbon dioxide levels in the 20th century. Early climate models predicted warming. Internal industry documents showed some fossil fuel companies understood the risks decades ago. Public messaging emphasized doubt. Policy lagged behind science. The discovery was not hidden completely, but it was downplayed. The resistance was economic and political. The ozone layer depletion discovery. In the 1970s, scientists discovered that chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, were damaging the ozone layer. The ozone layer protects Earth from harmful ultraviolet radiation. The initial reaction was resistance. Chemical companies questioned the findings. Industry groups funded counter-arguments. The science, however, became undeniable. A literal hole in the ozone layer was observed over Antarctica. The Montreal Protocol eventually phased out CFCs. But for years, economic interests resisted regulation. The discovery was not hidden forever, but it was resisted until the evidence became overwhelming. Lead in gasoline. For decades, gasoline contained lead. It improved engine performance. But scientists began linking environmental lead exposure to neurological damage, particularly in children. The industry defended its product. Studies were attacked. Critics were discredited. But eventually, evidence accumulated. Lead was phased out. Today, we know that removing lead from gasoline significantly reduced average blood lead levels worldwide. The discovery was delayed in public acceptance, not because it lacked evidence, but because it threatened profit. The true age of the Earth. In the 19th century, many scientists estimated Earth's age based on cooling rates. Their calculations suggested Earth was only tens of millions of years old, but geological and biological evidence suggested much longer timescales. When radioactive dating was developed, the truth emerged. Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. This discovery challenged not only scientific models, but cultural and religious assumptions. Resistance came from multiple directions. Accepting deep time required rethinking humanity's place in history. The danger of asbestos. Asbestos was once considered a miracle material. Fire-resistant, strong, versatile. But researchers began linking it to lung disease and cancer. Early warnings were dismissed. Workers were exposed for decades. Internal documents later revealed companies were aware of risks, yet production continued. The discovery of asbestos toxicity was not immediate suppression. It was gradual resistance. Economic pressure slowed reform. Science was ahead. Policy lagged behind. The link between sugar and heart disease. In the 1960s, emerging research suggested sugar played a role in heart disease. Internal documents later showed that sugar industry groups funded research that downplayed sugar's role. Instead, dietary fat became the primary focus. Scientific narratives can be influenced by funding priorities. The data was not erased, but interpretation was steered. It took decades for a more balanced understanding to emerge. The role of microorganisms in disease before germ theory. Many believed disease was caused by bad air or imbalance. When early researchers proposed invisible microorganisms caused infection, the idea faced skepticism. Accepting germ theory required changing hospital practice, sanitation, and public health. It required admitting long-standing assumptions were wrong. Eventually, the evidence prevailed, but paradigm shifts often meet resistance before acceptance. The discovery of plate tectonics building on continental drift. Plate tectonics unified geology. It explained earthquakes, volcanoes, mountain formation. But for years, textbooks resisted updating. Scientific communities can be slow to change. Not because of conspiracy, but because of institutional stability. The shift required rewriting entire fields. The discovery of deep ocean ecosystems. When hydrothermal vents were discovered in the 1970s, scientists found thriving ecosystems in total darkness. Life powered not by sunlight, but by chemical energy. This challenged assumptions about the necessity of photosynthesis and expanded possibilities for life beyond Earth. The discovery forced a re-evaluation of biological fundamentals. Sometimes resistance comes from disbelief. The implications were profound. The reality of air pollution. Mortality. For years, urban air pollution was seen as unpleasant, not deadly. But epidemiological data revealed millions of premature deaths linked to pollution. Industry resisted regulation. Governments hesitated. But long-term studies proved the impact. Scientific findings often struggle against economic convenience. The discovery of antibiotic resistance. When antibiotics were introduced, they seemed miraculous, but early warnings about resistance were often ignored. Bacteria evolve. Selective pressure guarantees adaptation. Now, antibiotic-resistant infections are a global concern. The discovery was not hidden, it was underestimated. The discovery of dark energy. When scientists discovered the universe's expansion was accelerating, the reaction was disbelief. Gravity should slow expansion, but data showed acceleration. This implied something unknown. Dark energy dominates the cosmos. The resistance was conceptual. Accepting dark energy means admitting we understand only a small fraction of reality. The discovery of neuroplasticity. For decades, scientists believed the adult brain was fixed. Neural pathways were permanent. Then research revealed the brain can reorganize, adapt, change. Neuroplasticity reshaped neuroscience. Initial resistance came from established models. Change required abandoning deeply held assumptions. The discovery of microplastics in human bodies. Recent studies detected microplastics in blood, lungs, and even placental tissue. The discovery was not suppressed, but its implications are still emerging. Industrial production created unintended biological consequences. Science often uncovers problems created by previous technological optimism. The discovery of bias in medical research. For decades, many clinical trials disproportionately included male participants. This led to gaps in understanding how diseases and medications affect women differently. The issue was not hidden intentionally, but it was overlooked. Scientific blind spots can persist when assumptions go unchallenged. The study of existential risk. In recent decades, scientists have formally studied risks that could threaten civilization itself. Nuclear war, climate collapse, artificial intelligence misalignment, engineered pandemics. The concept of existential risk was once seen as speculative. Now it is taken seriously. The uncomfortable truth is that knowledge increases power, and power increases responsibility. Conclusion. Were these discoveries secret conspiracies? Not exactly. Were they resisted? Often. Not because scientists are villains, but because humans resist change, especially when change threatens belief, profit, or identity. Science is self-correcting, but not instantly. Progress is not a straight line. It bends, it stalls, it hesitates. But eventually, evidence prevails. And that process, the resistance, the delay, the tension between knowledge and acceptance, is part of science itself. If one of these discoveries surprised you, tell us in the comments. Which one do you think faced the most resistance, and why? This is not fiction. This is history, and it is oddly true.